The following podcast contains alcohol-enhanced conversations about alcohol, as well as the potential for the discussion about topics of dubious, disturbing, possibly offensive, but usually hilarious interest. The opinions stated herein are solely of the persons making them, and any endorsement of these opinions by any other party is not implied. Foul language is likely, but intolerant viewpoints are not. Listener intoxication is advised. Hello and welcome to episode 46 of the Whiskey Tangent Podcast. I'm Scott.
And I'm Ed.
And today, after a couple months of episodes and shorts, mostly centered around various types of wine finishes, cocktails, mocktails, last calls, etc., we're getting back to bourbon basics and burrowing into a brand that, despite its reputation and popularity, we've hardly even talked about at all in over 2.5 years of podcasting, Barton's 1792. And joining us on another one of our deep distillery dives, all the way from the snow-covered peaks of Nepal, Gabe, the Whiskey Sherpa.
Hello again.
Also joining in on the fun is another longtime guest who, by the way of a secret contractual loophole, is making up for a previously missed appearance. One of the trio here known as the ladies and new homeowner. You know her, you love her, Drea.
Hey.
So Ed's going to get the party started by telling us which two Barton's expressions we'll be tempting our tongues with tonight.
So few people know that there's a complex legality system that goes on with the podcast. And so Drea had a contractual obligation and she missed episode, what's got 40?
She missed 44.
Way to rub it in my face.
Right. No rubbing in your face, but it got us out of whack with where she needs to be with the rest of the ladies. And so we have secretly brought her back. And the other ladies don't even know she's here. So she's here on a special invitation
Secret mission.
to be the first of the ladies to be on an episode by herself. And we're so psyched to have her as we explore Barton's 1792. But it's weird because the name, and Scott, you're going to explain why the name is different than Barton's.
Yes.
Because it's on the shelf. The shelf ticket never says Barton's. It says Ridgewood.
Oh, yes. I will explain that as well.
I'm sorry. Ridgewood Reserve and Ridgemont.
Yes.
All right. So that's what I wanted to explain because I'm confused by that.
I don't think the bottle says Barton's either.
No, it doesn't.
Right. Well, we went around to 8 or 9 different liquor stores. We had a really special, foolproof, single barrel select pick of their Kentucky Straight Bourbon whiskey. There's so much special vibes coming off this. So we said, you know what, let's get something to counter it. Mm-hmm. We wanted to get their high rye bourbon.
Yeah, just because it was a different mash bill.
And to see if we could compare 2 different mash bills from the distillery. We honestly couldn't find it. So we went out with, you know what, we're just going to get the regular old 1792 small batch, which is available to everybody. It's around $35.
Yeah, you should get it everywhere. Yeah.
Right. And while the foolproof single barrel, while that's a special thing, the foolproof itself, Scott's around what? 50? 55?
Yeah.
You could anywhere from 50 to 60, depending where you live. And so they're the two we're going to feature. We're going to do the regular small batch first to just get the character of the whiskey, get its kind of flavor points and tasting notes, and then see what it's like when you step up to the foolproof and a single barrel store pick. And the store pick is from Wineworks near us in Cherry Hill.
It's where I have
New
my
Jersey.
alcoholics card.
Right. Okay.
So I'm going to do it's not quick, I'm sorry. I'm going to do a history. This is another history similar to Michter's, where it was really deep, really long time ago, and it shows the incestuous nature of the whiskey business, and it's also pretty interesting in its own right. So, here we go. Some would say that the history of the Barton's distillery starts in 1845, when a gentleman named John G. Mattingly began building several distilleries in and around Marion County, Kentucky. One of these was the J.G. Mattingly and Sons Distillery in Louisville, which would later be purchased by Paul Jones Jr., who renamed it the Four Roses Distillery, as discussed in episode 36. But really, it wasn't until nearly 30 years later, with John's grandson, Ben, that the story truly begins. Because in 1873, Ben Mattingly married a woman named Catherine Willett. Yes, one of the famous Willets of bourbon royalty, after which he went to work at the Frank and Willett Distillery. Once there, Ben befriended a fellow distiller, Thomas S. Moore, and the two quickly rose in the ranks. In 1876, Patriarch John D. Willett transferred all of his interest in the distillery to Ben and Tom, who in 1879 built their own distillery in Bardstown, Kentucky, that they named Mattingly and Moore. However, only 2 years later, in 1881, just as the first barrels of their new whiskey was starting to come of age, Ben sold his majority share of the company to a group of out-of-town investors. Tom, though, continued to work at the company for 18 more years, but eventually left in 1899 to build yet another distillery of his very own, purchasing 116 acres right next door. And none too soon, because after he left, Mattingly & Moore went bankrupt, and its assets were sold off, a portion of which was purchased by Jim Beam, the man himself. Even worse, and soon after Prohibition began, the former Mattingly & Moore warehouses burned to the ground. There you go, Ed.
Always a fire. It's not if they burn down, but when.
Right. So they burned to the ground under suspicious circumstances. Federal agents suspected arson in a plot to cover up barrel theft and called in the National Guard to ensure that nobody tampered with the counting of barrel hoops that, being metal, did not burn. Like Papa Ya. Babymetal. Mysteriously, however, the outcome of the count was never disclosed and nobody was ever charged with a crime in the Mattingly & Moore fire. Fun side note, if the name Mattingly & Moore sounds familiar, it may be because today it's a brand of bottom shelf bourbon produced by Heaven Hill.
Wow.
In any event, the fire presented Tom Moore with an opportunity. With his new distillery having secured a contract with one of the 6 companies granted a medicinal license during Prohibition that we talked about on our Prohibition Whiskey-mentary, which is awesome. Please go back and listen to that. Tom Moore continued to produce whiskey. So lucrative was this endeavor, in fact, that he was able to purchase the land next door, merge the two sites, and create a single distillery that became known as the Tom Moore Distillery, now encompassing nearly 200 acres. But after 4 decades of successful whiskey making, old Tom Moore died. And in 1944, his son sold the company. His son sold the company to a Chicago liquor merchant and rectifier named Oscar Getz. Oscar had already been purchasing, blending, and reselling Tom Moore's whiskey in the Midwest under the brand name Barton's, and soon he named his newly purchased distillery to match. And after another 4 decades, in 1983, it was now old Oscar Getz's turn to die.
We all have our turn one day, don't we?
That's right.
I mean, that's one thing. It's the only thing we're guaranteed.
40 years of their life in one paragraph. The Barton Distillery had grown to become Barton Brands Limited by acquiring several other American whiskey distillers and brands, including Glenmore, Fleischmann's, and Mr. Boston, several gins, vodkas, and rums, and multiple Canadian whiskeys and scotches. Wow. In 1993, Barton Brands was purchased by Constellation Brands, and in 2002, they released a premium bourbon called 1792 Ridgewood Reserve, named after the year Kentucky became a state and a totally made-up place. A decision that forever changed the trajectory of the company, but not without some controversy. You see, just 2 years later, Brown-Forman sued Barton's for copyright infringement over the name Ridgewood Reserve because they argued that customers might confuse it with their bourbon brand, Woodford Reserve. Brown-Forman won the case, forcing Barton's to change Ridgewood to Ridgemont, which had the knock-on effect of creating collector's items of the already produced Ridgewood bottles almost overnight, some of which today are going for upwards of $2,500. In 2009, the entire Burton's company, its distillery, bottling plant, and brand catalog was bought by the French vampires at Sazerac.
It's unbelievable. I am in all of you, Sazerac. I want to be part of you. If you're like a brotherhood or a fellowship I need to do to be part of you, I'm in this. You keep popping up owning amazing whiskeys. Like, my hat's off to you.
And you may recall, just a few years back, in the summer of 2018, Barton suffered a significant setback when one of its warehouses collapsed, sending a total of over 18,000 barrels tumbling to the ground and horrifying whiskey lovers everywhere. Worse still, about a third of the barrels broke open, spilled their contents into nearby waterways, and poisoned thousands of fish.
Those fish died happy.
That's how I want to go.
What a way to go.
I want to drown in a vat of bourbon. Like at 81, just like... do like a half gainer into a vat. And you know, I wanted one of those giant fermentation plants at MGP.
Right. Dive in the top of it.
You guys would literally just drink it like empty.
I was talking with kids at school the other day. Somehow it came up like falling into a vat of nacho cheese and dying. And I'm like, do you think for like 5 seconds you'd be like, oh my God, this is delicious. And then you would just drown.
Yeah, they're just like,
oh my God, this is delicious cheese.
I have cheese in my lungs. However, last paragraph. Today, with 3 new warehouses built just this year in 2021, Barton's has recovered considerably. Not only does it remain one of the oldest continuously operating distilleries in Kentucky, but also, now with a storage capacity of well over 750,000 barrels, it has become the 7th largest distillery in the world.
Wow.
Say that again.
7th largest distillery
Barton's
in the world is Barton's.
Can we get some more bottles then? Like Jesus Christ! I went to 8 stores. And
I know.
6 of the stores had just the small batch, all right, and then 1 had the single barrel you found.
Yep.
And then 1 had the bottle and bond. I could have got that, but I didn't get it then because I was still optimistic that there was more Bartons to secure.
Yeah.
And by the way, I've never seen the vodka and the gin up here.
No.
Well, I mean, does the brand here sell that much so they could sell their other product? I've had the bottle; it's good, but is it that highly thought of?
Well, I mean, but you don't see end caps of it. You don't see displays in bars. Like, it's about marketing. Like, this is a competitive industry, and if you want New Jersey, Pennsylvania to notice you, then you have to make an effort. I mean, I have friends who worked for Pernod Ricard that would walk into a bar and be like, how much to get an absolute tower behind the bar? And they'd have to spend $4,000 that night pouring bottles all night for them to build the display. So there's a whole intricate thing about marketing your product.
Yeah, because the distributor will reward you for how much you sell.
Right.
So the more you sell, the more you get. And you could get the higher expressions of the other stuff that they distribute. If you sell the lower expressions, it's, give and take. Mm-hmm. I think, though, to your point, the 1792, there has been a push just recently in conjunction with this episode, because they knew we were doing an episode, so they started doing this. But like a bunch of liquor stores have recently done barrel picks of 1792 full proof, and I've seen them everywhere. Wineworks did it. Rastelli's over there did it when I picked up the Eagle Rare for us. Just today in Benash, they had it as well. Yep. And so I think they're trying now.
We are from New Jersey, and we feel like people should give a shit about us. But Barton's has 15, 20 other strong drinking bourbon states that they probably dominate in.
Yeah.
And that's where they move their volume. That's how they're number 7 in the country. They're not sitting going like, oh my God, I hope Jersey likes us more. They're like, just send Jersey a small batch and whatever else we have laying around. Fuck Jersey. That's what I feel like Kentucky feels like to us. I really do.
Yeah, but you haven't said that. I mean, I know we're in Philly, we're near New York, Washington, Boston, Baltimore. I mean, you think that we would get that recognition and
we matter.
Yes. Thank you. Jersey matters.
Jersey
also, going back to
matters.
the gin and vodka issue, have you looked for their gin and vodka?
I've never looked for it, and I will now, and that's a good point, Gabe.
It's not going to be the same shape bottle.
Oh, no.
obviously.
It's a very, very pedestrian bottle. They're marketing it for right where it is.
Yeah, it's well.
It's competing with basic Smirnoff or like Gilbert's. The ones down there, right?
The plastic bottles.
No, plastic bottles just basically random Russian words that nobody understands.
Pop-off.
Yeah, Pop-off. That's it. Pop-off. That's it.
Pop-off, yeah. Pop-off, yeah. I feel like we need to explain what we're talking about with Papaya and Babymetal. Babymetal is a Japanese death metal / pop group, and we were listening to their song Papaya before we started the episode.
To get piped up on it, because it's just a lot of fun. So if you've never seen Babymetal, I mean, it's
go look at
fun.
it.
They're going to explode soon. You watch out.
Something for well, they probably aren't, but something you and your kids can enjoy together. It's a little death K-pop metal.
Yeah.
And Babymetal is and Papaya is our favorite song.
So the first whiskey that we have that we couldn't get the high rye is the 1792 small batch.
Right.
It's just a Kentucky straight bourbon. Its proof is 93.7. Its mash bill is undisclosed, but reportedly 75% corn, 15% rye, 10% malted barley, right in Ed's wheelhouse.
Yeah.
The age is not stated, but reportedly a blend of 6 to 9 years.
Really? For the regular one, huh?
Yeah.
Wow.
The price is about $35, which is what I think we got it tonight.
Right, but what is 6 to 9 years to vampires, really? It's like a second in time, right?
Yeah, it's a second.
Any vampires out there?
Right, so Dre.
Hey.
Hey.
Okay,
Dre's
holler
like-
Dre if you're a vampire. She's waiting. Just bite her on her neck. She's yours forever. Literally forever.
I like True Blood. You guys
Oh,
ever
True
watch
Blood.
that?
Yeah,
sure.
True Blood's good.
Oh, yeah.
Just to be honest, I think it's true. We can all agree. There's no chubby vampires in any genre. I mean, I don't understand what happens. Maybe blood's not filling. Maybe it's not enough to keep your calories up, or you maybe just shrink when you're a vampire. I'm not really sure. Maybe they were chubby when they got bit, and then it's just like that lifestyle of like never really being up daylight and running around at night. Maybe turning into a bat. Maybe that makes you thin. I don't know. So I'm a little bit anti-vampire for that reason, because it's just kind of like a little biased. Like they're all fucking in perfect shape. Fuck them. I mean, if there's a vampire, the problem, he comes up to me high noon anytime. I'll be in the front lawn. Come get me.
Blood's all protein. I mean, there's no carbs there.
It's a keto diet. It's definitely keto.
They're all gluten free. They're just sucking necks and they're going to bed.
Ed, I think maybe if you were a vampire, then you would be thin.
Right, because I would just be blood, right?
Yeah,
Keto.
it takes a lot of work to get
Fly.
blood
Can you
every
imagine
night.
me trying to fly the first couple of years? I mean, my bat be like, "Arr!" I go and fly short distances until I trim up. It's like from like porch to porch, like shh.
You're like a baby bird doing head plants into the
like
ground.
Woodstock, like the way Woodstock flies on the peanuts.
Exactly.
Upside down.
Watching a portly bat fly into a wall and then just drop into the floor.
Like, Portly bat! Portly bat!
Portly bat.
Your vampire rat name. Oh my god. We are fucking off the rails already.
Get me an Uber.
Wow. All right. Oh, whiskey. Let's
We haven't tried the whiskey yet, by the way.
We haven't even smelled it.
All right, so the Bartons.
Somebody give me paddles.
So as we smell this, I should say that so our old friend at the Whiskey Jug, so I have tasting notes to do it. He gave this an 84. It was just pretty average for him.
That's a low score for him. He's like, you could drink it if there's nothing else on the shelf.
Whiskey Advocate gave it a 90.
Oh, okay. Wow. We go to them
We
a
use
lot.
both of them, yeah. So let's give it a smell.
A lot of sweet on the nose. Ooh.
Corn, sweet, vanilla.
It's nice. It's
Yeah.
bready almost.
It's got a nice amber color to it.
Hits the back of the nostril.
That's what he said. We're still cracking up at the picture in our minds of Ed being a vampire, chubby vampire trying to fly.
Bigger than all the other bats. So you can pick me out like, oh, there's Ed.
Oh, there's Ed.
He's coming in now.
There he is.
Porch to porch to porch, and then I land.
Flying in all late and fat.
He's upside down. He's sideways.
He's on the top of the tree, but the tree bends all the way to the ground.
Banging into the
I
chandeliers.
just step off.
And you step off
Branch
like
slams up.
Captain Jack Sparrow.
Tuxedo buttons
onto the
popping
deck.
off.
Yeah.
All the kids think it's Santa landing on the roof with fucking Ed.
Oh my God, it's Vampire Santa.
No, it's just portly bat. Never mind. Back to bed, everybody.
Just Portly Bat. Yeah.
Are we drinking yet?
I don't know. I don't know what the fuck we're doing.
All right, let's taste it.
We've off
For
the
God's sake, let's do what we're here for.
Yeah.
Ooh,
Okay.
that's really nice.
For $35.
Holy shit, I got chest hair on my chest.
Wow. That's where the chest hair would go.
I had a check.
She had to check. She's checking.
Oh, we're okay.
Well, as long as it wasn't my chest hair on your chest.
Wow. It's really nice.
Smooth.
Oh, yeah.
I'm still getting that bready quality that,
Yeah, there's a lot of rising yeast.
yeah.
A lot of rolled over dough. Let it sit and
It kind of tastes.
ferment let it rise.
So, the crescent rolls. You know, crescent rolls, you get them out and you roll them up and you bake them. It tastes kind of like that smells.
Yeah, right before you pop a loaf in the oven, which didn't really sound very good.
Hello.
Hello.
You
pop a loaf in your oven.
So, I mean, I was expecting very little from this.
Uh-huh.
And yeah, like if I was in a bar and you poured this to me, I'm like, all right, this is good. Like it's kind of very traditional. There's nothing flashy about this particular one, the small batch, but I think it's a very functional and sound bourbon.
Yes, totally agreed. I've had this before, but it's been a long time, and I brought this to a whiskey tasting. Unfortunately, there were 17 other whiskeys, and some of them were pretty high end, and this one didn't perform very well, but I really liked it at the time, and I'm remembering why I like it. for $35, it's terrific.
Yeah.
Drea, what are you tasting out of it?
I just added water.
Oh, okay.
Please hold.
Please hold while we add some more water.
Good idea.
I actually like it a lot better with the water.
Okay, yeah.
Good.
It's a lot more subtle on the mouth. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like when I drank it, it just like skipped my taste buds and went right to my throat.
What gave you chest hair?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, it did.
That's what she meant by that. And I think that you're right, Dre, in the fact that because it's not their top expression, it was a little fiery.
Yeah.
And when you put it on the ice and maybe a little water, it tones that
It does.
burn down and you get the,
More flavor.
which is really good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's odd because I just put a couple drops on and I find the fire kind of intensified just a little bit.
Interesting.
Well, why is that, Dre? You know the answer to why that is.
Huh?
Because he's a little bitch.
Little bitch.
All right, so we'll have to say the origin of little bitch. So if you've listened to us for any amount of time, you know that Gabe brings out the little bitch comment, especially to Ed. He's done it several times, but where it actually originated was with Drea on episode 20, calling Gabe actually a little bitch. We asked 100 women, name something you like to see a man do because it expresses his gentle side. Gabe?
I'm going to go with cry.
Ooh, number one answer.
Wow. Oh my God, you got so vulnerable here.
That was very good. He's about to cry.
I'm so verklempt over that answer. Like, you were so open and real.
Little bitch.
Connie was hysterical. And so ever since then, we've never let it die. And we realized that you could change any sentence by adding that, hey, man, can you pass the salt? Little bitch. And all of a sudden, it makes it confrontational. It just changes it. So it has like a magical quality to it of like taking a benign statement, pause a second, and all of a sudden turn into a dig. So we thank Dre for bringing
Highly advisable.
Yeah, so you can use it anywhere.
So you guys getting anything else on the palate?
No, I mean, it's basic. It's nothing. It's a really basic bourbon qualities of vanilla, oak, corn with some fruit notes and a little bit of baking spice, like a burnt cinnamon. Nothing like really, not a candy, but the actual spice.
So on the nose, so this is whiskey jug, smooth with dark fruit, caramel, vanilla pudding, and oak with light notes of raisins, biscuits, and baking spices. So that's a nose.
Yeah, right. So we covered all that.
On the palate, oak, dark fruit, maple caramel hybrid,
Interesting.
vanilla pudding, pine-like herbal spice, toasted corn, and a light biscuity character. Crescent rolls is what it was to me. On the finish, long slow fade of oak, vanilla, spice, and something that reminds me of mixing the caramel and the buttered popcorn in those 3 corn tins that show up around the holidays.
Well, that's specific, isn't it?
Oh my God, has anyone ever?
That's spot on, though.
I used to like to eat them halfway down, like, and then just pull the thing out and like combine them at the end.
Yeah, I was in Target and they actually sell the caramel and the cheddar cheese together in a single bag.
Not a big seller.
It's not a big seller. I bought a bag. I haven't bought another one, so maybe you're right. All right, so we are going to take a break.
Yeah, just understand that we're coming back. Everything we just did was just to get to
Yes.
the full proof, which should be a completely different world
It should.
from where we just came from.
Yeah.
All right. Shout out to all the portly bats everywhere, and here we go.
Okay, we're back, and we're going to try now our 1792 foolproof single barrel select from Wine Works, Kentucky Straight Bourbon, and we're going to throw it back to Scott.
Yeah, thanks, Gabe. You know, the price of this is $50 to $60,
It's such a deal, really.
but I got it for $42.99.
I know, it's crazy. Like, it was like a barrel pick on sale. It's funny, sometimes when they pick a barrel, Scott, they get great pricing on it.
Yeah. So, and we were already going to do 1792. And when I saw that, I was like, well, we have to do the full proof. We have to do this because this not only satisfies full proof, but it also satisfies single barrel, which is another expression that they have. So it's like 2 for 1. The category of this is a Kentucky Straight Bourbon. The proof is 125.
Wow, Jesus. There's not much above that. I mean, you can go 130, but then you're pretty much getting Everclear.
Yeah. The mash bill is undisclosed, but the same thing as the small batch that we tasted. So this is basically the really high proof of what we already had, the 75% corn, 15% rye, 10% malted barley. There's no age statement, but Barton's press release states 8.5 years, which is very specific. Wow. The scores for these, so the Whiskey Jug gave us a higher score from the small batch. 88.
We'll be the judge.
And he's a hard score.
Yeah.
And Whiskey Advocate gave this a 92.
All right. Yeah. When you look at the entire world of whiskey, and you know some of your top ones are like 98s or 100s. Then a 92 is a really good score in whiskey.
Anywhere in the 90s.
Whiskey Advocate is 92. It's a very good whiskey.
Yeah, it is. That's a high rating for their system.
And 88's not slouchy. I mean, you have to get below a 70 before you're getting to a whiskey that you might not want to drink.
Yeah.
I mean, a 74 whiskey probably means it's a little immature. It might not be right. Exactly. We all would be 74, right?
Right. The Whiskey Tangent podcast is about a 78.
Exactly. We're so immature.
It's 100 when I'm here.
Oh, that's true.
It's at least a 10.
We go up to an 82.
She brings us up.
Wait, it's at least a 10.
Oh, 10 times 10.
100.
100. It is released annually, but only in small quantities. It was chosen as the World Whiskey of the Year for 2020 in Jim Murray's Whiskey Bible.
In Jim Murray's backyard, like, I gotta tell you right now, this is the best whiskey. How do you flip the burgers? This is the best whiskey I ever had.
Listen to me.
I'm Jim Murray. It's my backyard. And drink this shit. This is the best goddamn whiskey.
Oh, my God. No,
the fuck is him? Who is it?
Jim Murray's Whiskey Bible.
Okay. All right, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Jim. I'm sorry, Jim. I'm just joking. But Jim, relax.
Relax, Jim. Relax. I can't get my hand out. Relax. Anyway, so one more fun fact. Full proof, as it says on the bottle, is not actually cask strength, as the latter refers to not watering it down once it gets out of the barrel, whereas full proof means that 125 is the entry proof to the barrel, and then it comes out of the barrel a little higher, after which they add water to get it back down to 125.
Wow, that's true.
Yes.
Why? What's the point of getting it back?
I don't know.
Okay.
Is 130 too much for people to handle?
Probably.
I mean, I think some people 125 is too much for people to handle.
Right.
Not us.
Never.
The fact that this is 125 proof and only $42.99 barrel pick, I'm extraordinarily excited to taste this.
It's one of the best deals we've had since I found the Larceny Barrel Proof for 80.
Yeah.
That is low.
It is very low.
Are we nosing now?
Yeah.
And that's
You don't want to smell it.
So I smell some of what I smelled in the small batch, but way more intense and a lot more alcohol.
It
Yes.
smells more like orangey.
Okay.
Appeal to me.
I do. Right. I get.
Yes.
Remember I said there's a little citrus on the end of it?
Yeah.
This is a lot more orangey. I agree.
Very intense. Very intense interest. Wow.
Once you get past all of the alcohol scents,
Wow.
it's really nice.
Dre just drank it.
Oh, Dre drank it?
That's what the wow is.
Too soon?
No, it's okay.
No, you can do whatever you want.
do what you want.
Let's all drink it and catch up to her.
Sure.
Yeah, catch up, little bitches.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
It's really smooth though for 125. Very intense.
As Gabe chokes.
No, but I mean, if it catches you wrong, but I mean,
No, it's hot. It's hot off the bat, but it's smooth hot.
I've already put mine on the rocks, and so did Drake.
Yeah, you definitely are going to want to put some water in this to actually evaluate it for real. I really like this, though. Wow, I get a little bit of chocolate. There's a little bit of like light fruit flavor, like maybe an apple.
Yeah.
I want to point out this is $8 more than the small batch that we bought today, and it's in completely more complex and intense whiskey.
Fruits and spice and
Yeah, I'm getting a lot of candied apple.
Candied apple.
Am I wrong?
No, I'm not saying you're wrong.
No.
You said candy apple, not caramel, right?
Candied apple, yeah.
Yeah,
Like
candy
the
apple.
spicy, the hard.
the hard crack.
hard crack.
I know what a
red.
candy apple is.
shit that
bitches.
rips your fucking fillings out, all right?
Random belligerents. Candy apple edition.
Mrs. Bloom used to give us candy apples wrapped in wax paper, and she would say, "You tell your mother this is from old Miss Bloom," so that she doesn't think there's razor blades in it, okay? And throws it out. And so she would make sure that we say it's from Miss Bloom, and then we could have candy apples. But if some stranger gave us candy apples, my dad would throw it out because they had razor blades in it. Can we cut it open and look? Like, damn.
Right.
Was there ever really a razor blade in the apple?
No,
Ever?
No.
Like you're going to eat an apple, Ed. You eat a candy around and throw the fucking apple away. This is healthy. I'm in this shit.
Yeah. Can we pause a minute and hear Gabe's story about about his last triathlon that he ran. Motherfucking high horse motherfucker. Every time I go to your house, you serve me 3 different types of pork.
Oh, and a fourth.
Because I know you're coming.
Oh.
I'm gonna need that fourth one.
That's what your mother did last night, Trebek.
Came on like pork.
Oh my god!
But this is good. It's got a lot of heat, a lot of caramel spice.
If someone ever came up to me and
Ed's
said,
pork?
"Check out my pork," I'm like,
Ew.
like what?
It's spicy. It's been sitting in the oven for 4 days.
So it does lend itself to the comment of pulled pork, which is a completely different thing, but
Off
Wait,
the rails.
what?
This is wonderful. Did you guys put water on it?
It's
yeah.
Yes, did you?
It's a Hawaiian delicacy. Pulled pork.
With pineapples.
You pull your pork with pineapples?
Yeah.
Actually, that's a thing.
Yeah, you could put the rings on the pineapple rings.
Yeah. Pineapple ring. They might sting a bit.
Interesting.
We're doing scientific research here. Let's get serious for Christ's sake.
Get
God
serious,
damn it.
Gabe, for fuck's sake.
Oh my God! Stop talking about your pork.
Can we cut all this out and get back to how delicious the foolproof is?
Oh, we'll keep all
Because
that.
on the rocks with a little water in it, it's really good.
Oh my God, this is amazing.
I mean, it's still really strong, even like watered down. Whoa, Ed. He's trying to really water me down.
She can handle a drink, Ed.
Listen,
calm down.
it's 125 proof. Booker No taught me
Yes.
that you could go sometimes with certain spirits, 50-50, wither and spirit, and not break down the flavor profile.
That's what the man said.
And this isn't even close to that. This has probably got it down.
really?
This is probably at 95 proof right now with what I've done.
Would you want to go that deep though?
It's too watery for me, but you
Yeah.
still can taste the vanilla and the caramel and the things that he wants you to taste. He wasn't saying to do it, but he was saying you could do it.
This
Exactly,
is more
exactly.
like you
Lightweight.
taste the flavor more in
bitches.
your mouth. Like I realize with some whiskeys, like you can feel it like going all the way down, and this is more of like a mouth flavor.
I think how I have it right now is perfect.
Yeah, I'm gonna take yours. Okay, thanks.
Okay.
Yeah, I think Ed's a better
Because
but maybe
the burn
it's
is
his.
away, and I just have this great sweet
Yeah.
caramel,
Wait,
vanilla.
taste mine. Chug.
Go.
You're actually almost where I am now
Yeah,
because it's melted.
It's pretty similar.
The dominant flavor I get is the baking spices. I get so much of that spicy quality,
Yeah.
like apple pie or like pumpkin pie.
I get like creme brulee. I get like caramel, vanilla,
Okay.
and like a really great traditional bourbon flavors at its best. With
Aftertaste, yeah.
Wow. This is tremendous. This is one of the better bourbons I've had in a bit. So let's do the nose. So the nose, it said caramel, oak, spice, vanilla, chocolate cookies, a fruity core with a bit of spice lending to the complexity. A little water brings out biscuits and a lot of citrus. Drea?
Yeah.
On the palate, chunks of dark fruit, baking spices, and oak plow through, followed by notes of bananas, apples, and dark sweets with light, intermittent, biscuity pop. On the finish, long and oaky with notes of dark fruits, dark sweets, mint, and biscuits keep things interesting.
And it's not as sweet as like how they explain the flavor. And
See, I think when it's on the water though, the sweetness comes through more.
Yeah, the sweetness does come
Yes.
through with more water on it. In
Yeah,
fact, I'm going to put more water on it because it's
Yeah,
so...
with the water, I am
Like,
definitely
if
getting
you
the
try
milk
yours
chocolate come through.
Try yours right now. I bet it's really super sweet because the alcohol should be really beat down.
I'm getting a lot more fruit flavor with the
Yeah.
lower proofing.
And that's what a 125 whiskey is
Yeah.
meant to do. You're not really meant to drink it at 125.
And I think that's important. Scott's right. You'll pour it on a Glencairn, you'll drink it neat all night. That's who you are. That's not really what it's supposed to do.
Sure. Yeah.
then,
You want to evolve as you're drinking it.
And then each one's a little better. So my last sip's kind of like around 100, maybe 98. I'm like, well, that was really good. And I make another one and then maybe start that with a splash of water. So I start at like, 115. The reason you would go with a higher proof spirit is it gives you more options. If you start with Basil Hayden, it's 80. Put it on the globe if you want, but you better drink it fast because it's going to be at 60 before you know it. And it might be too watery for you.
Especially at 125,
Yeah.
again, for $42.99, you can add a third of water to this whiskey
Yeah.
and proof it down to 1/3 of this proof and get an additional third of a bottle.
Right.
Yeah, there's a lot of room to play with on that proofing.
So to compare this with what we had before, I'm not tasting as much of the biscuits that
No.
Gabe and I
The
tasted
bread-
on the original.
The bread's gone.
The bread is gone.
Bread is gone.
Bread
the
is
bread
gone.
is gone away.
someone smells really good. I'm gonna have to smell all of you now.
Oh,
My God.
Wow, why do you guys all smell so good?
yeah. Maybe it's you that smell good. Everywhere you go, it's just you.
I don't know. Like I just caught a whiff of something.
I'm getting some perfume or cologne just
You smell
burst
that?
open. Yeah.
Maybe
Oh, you know what it was? It was probably
Right.
a air freshener in there, and it
spritz.
spritzes.
Oh, he's got
It
the
just
timer air
squirted.
freshener.
It's like a woodsy smell.
So just calm down, Dre. It's none of us.
right.
Like
We
over here smelling
all smell
everybody.
normal.
Smell check.
It's my apartment.
Listen,
I
sometimes
love the smell of my apartment.
sometimes a squirt can be embarrassing, but listen,
Hello,
it's
wow.
actually not a bad thing.
Oh, your apartment. I can't take it.
Yeah, I gotta
doesn't
come over
have-
more. I'm like, here, I'm just here to satisfy my
I'm just going to
palate.
stand in the hallway for half an hour.
I'm
Don't mind me.
I'm just gonna get off on the wrong floor.
Wow. Oh, wow.
Excuse me.
Get off on the wrong floor, he
It
said.
was, I had to because I committed, and like when there's other people involved, you just can't embarrass. I think they were talking
So
about
the
me all the
story
way up.
is-
Like this bitch got off on the wrong
The
floor.
story was she got up on the elevator to come up here tonight, and she got off on the wrong floor and realized it, but then was too embarrassed to get back on the elevator, so she waited till they left, and then she said, "Listen to the elevator until they stopped talking." Then she pushed it so she would come back down and take her up to the right floor.
I like sit off to the side just in case someone was still on there. They didn't see me automatically when it opened.
I'm seeing like a perfume commercial, like Britney Spears is like running down the hallway in black and white in slow motion. Where's that smell coming from? It's Scott's apartment.
Yeah, she
by
called-
Paco Rabanne.
So what happens is, so you there's a call box, and you call, and it calls my phone, and then I let them in, and then it usually takes about 3 or 4 minutes, depending how long you have to wait for the elevator, and it seemed like a long time. And I said to these guys, I was like, "Where the hell is Drea?" So I went out and I looked down the hallway, and I was like, I came back in, and I'm like shrugging. I was like, "I don't know where she is."
I said she had to get off the wrong floor, and then like literally 90 seconds later, she comes flying in the door like, "Hey," I'm like, "You got off the wrong floor?" She goes, "Yeah." You had to have.
I
'cause we were
took the
And where's
scenic
that
route.
smell coming
Actually,
from?
the neighbor below you has a wonderful giant light bulb light right outside their door.
I've
Like it
never
doesn't
been
make
on the third
sense,
floor.
but it's kind of dope, you know.
You can win cash and prizes for a fall themed door or balcony.
Oh, it looks like Einstein should live there.
Oh,
Like
wow. Or like Nikolai Tesla.
Signs everywhere, the signs blocking up the scenery, breaking my mind.
Do this, don't do that. Can
Can't
you read the signs? Ah.
Everything ends with Metallica.
Yeah.
We want to point out that we've been getting texts tonight. Due to Dre sloppiness and posting photos, at
I
least
fucked up.
at least one of the other ladies know that she's on this episode right now recording. We're getting angry text messages. Are you recording with Dre right now? I'm ignoring it. Dre's responded. We're just going to finish the episode. They could be closing on us right now.
Hurry up. We got to
Push
finish.
the sofa against the door. Don't let him in.
she skipped game night.
She
for
needs
this.
accountability. She was supposed to be at game night. This is why she's not at game night with us.
Oh my God. So you're here instead of game night with them?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, that's fucking perfect. I
Yes.
love it.
So there's going to be
Right.
consequences.
There'll be consequences.
Yes.
There'll be hell to pay.
We have to go to a remote location to some basement in like Tibet or something like satellite phones and stuff. Recording now from satellite phone in Tibet. Us, Dre, and Scott.
You're being too loud. We have to whisper. They can be anywhere. They're inside the room. Oh, they're above us. Holy shit. Just Chelbi and Nari jumping down through the
ceiling
drywall.
tiles.
Rappelling down the building into the windows.
We said she must be accountable.
Oh my God, that's awesome.
I think they got off on the wrong floor too.
So anyway,
This has been amazing. I really liked the small batch.
yeah.
But the foolproof just blew me away.
Right, so let's put it in perspective. A $35 range whiskey, you can't really do much worse than the 1792 small batch from Barton's. It's a nice whiskey. It's really good. If you fall into one of the single barrel foolproof like we did for under 50, you're living a dream.
Wow.
It's such a bargain with what people want to price their whiskeys at. Barton's, 7th largest distillery in the world, has said, you know what, we can make money off this without gouging the public. And so they've done a nice job. And, you know, the vampires at Sazerac have supported them and the portly bats everywhere. And so I'd like to thank Dre so much for finding a way on a Saturday night to give up her time to catch up, to be in step with the other ladies.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Drea, for showing up.
I
She-
always
Thank you.
enjoy being here.
On the short and the episode she did, she drank shot for shot, drink for drink with all of us. She was
Damn right.
she was an absolute warrior tonight. I take my hat off
She's
to
a
her.
beast.
Trooper.
Trooper. She was the opposite of a little bitch. And
She was a big bitch.
right. All right, so for the Whiskey Tangent podcast, if you can find some Bartons, give it a try if you never have. They're an interesting company, owned by an interesting company, and they make an interesting whiskey. Interesting, cubed.
Yes.
So for the Whiskey Tangent podcast, I'm Ed.
I'm Scott.
I'm Andrea.
And I'm Gabe.
I'm Dre.
Oh.
And I'm Gabe.
Dre.
Oh, my God.
Drea.
Wow.
Dre's the name. Don't wear it out.
Wow.
And I'm Gabe.
Finally.
Just for the record, Nari is a name as like a copyright, so Nari will be suing her for that.
It's like Brown Foreman with the Woodford
Right.
Reserve.
It's a Nari copyright violation. She's like, she knows better. I'll see her in
I
court.
love you. I'm sorry I missed game night.
Oh, shit.
Don't kill me.
Yeah, to the ladies, we can't wait till you're all together.
Yep.
Getting your reward for being 5-timers. It's coming up soon.
Coming up.
Cheers!
Yay,
ladies!
ladies!
Cheers, everyone.
If you enjoyed this podcast episode, be sure to check out our next episode, which is way better than this one.
Oh, yeah.
Also, follow and like our Facebook page at facebook.com/Whiskey Tangent. And follow us on Twitter at Whiskey Tangent. You can follow me personally at That Whiskey Guy. And follow Scott at Giant Cup of Awesome, spelled AWSUM, just to be annoying.
Hey.
You can email us any questions, comments, or love at whiskeytangent@gmail.com. And of course, you can find us always at our podcast website, whiskeytangent.podbean.com.